I'm back, and I'm no longer laughing at Grandpa. Anyway, we're gonna go on. Now that Grandpa's gone, we're going to go to the Sun Temple. And we're going to take care of everything at the Sun Temple. Because we got to get to the Moon Kingdom. So we're going to go up here. So there is a new gimmick in this, but I think it's in the second part, not the first. So the first part is just going to play like a typical level, although it has 4 branching paths. So we'll find out more about that in just a few minutes because we're going to meet some guys. But we're getting close to the end of the game. I think there's one new area that we got to go to. And then, besides this, but you notice that there's 4 pillars here? Yeah. Yeah. That's the gimmick here. We got to get 4 of the little things to go into those 4 little... They're not really pillars. They're more like jars, I guess. They're more like jars. But anyway, some people have been waiting for us. And there they are. And look, it's those little flying things again. It's those little flying things that I'm very confused about. But Solaire and Salil. Salil's a bit more... How do you say? Honest? Truthful? I don't know how you would explain it. So Solaire is the one that's more corporate and business speech. Salil is more casual and just brutally honest. Anyway, we gotta talk about the weirdos. And yep. I love this little character design though. And listen, I know it's because I love black mages from like Final Fantasy and stuff, but I'm also thinking like characters from like Everhood. I know it kind of gives me the vibes of those characters, but like that little design looks just so cute. Like it gives me like little Nutcracker vibes. Gives me like little wooden toy sort of vibes. These little characters do, like specifically Solaire and Solel. We're not skilled in the art of combat. He means we're whips. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Solaire is just like, I'm the more corporate one. I'm not going to say anything too toxic. I'm going to use like the safer terminology. And Solaire just says it just like it is. Yeah, we're definitely not able to fight them off because we're just fucking pathetic. So the red and blue one on this side, and we gotta collect them from this side, and then the green and yellow one from this side. And if you notice, both paths basically lead down here to the same thing, and then you go again down here. So it didn't really matter which path you go at the beginning. My ear is itching, so if you hear something off, it's because I'm scratching my ear. Anyway, I just had a really bad itch. I had to take care of it. But the main goal is to take care of all these. There is a point where I was afraid that I think it was either the red or the blue. I know it was on this side. But I was afraid that I had missed a Phantomile because I missed like an egg or something like that. But then I found them later on and I didn't care anymore. But we just gotta hit these to knock them down. But also these little critters keep spawning behind me. They keep spawning behind me and trying to attack me. Anyway. Listen, this is not the worst case. There is some weird like issues in regards to like the placement of some enemies in this level. I can think of one in particular, but it is kind of weird that like the enemy spawns behind me as I'm doing that. But now we can go to the other side, and if we messed up, we probably would have had to gone back. But we got our little orb thingy, so now we got to go back to the beginning. And I don't really know how to do that. There we go. I figured it out. Current me didn't know how to do that, but apparently past me is a little bit smarter. Anyway. Okay, so it was the yellow. And then I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to do here, and then... Oh yeah, this was what I was confused by. It was this egg. I didn't know how to deal with it. because the flames don't really disappear. They just shrink down. So I don't really know how to get this egg, but I didn't really need it at the end, so I didn't care. I didn't care. You know, I said I thought there was a way to get like an extra heart for your character, but like we're near the end of the game and we still haven't gotten the heart. But I thought for sure that was a thing. I could be a little bit wrong there. Either way, we're going to go to the blue side now and take care of that. It just takes me a few minutes to figure out what I need to do. There's like a little side path down here. So you just got to figure out where the other path is. There we go. And this guy's like primed and ready. This little like, I guess you call it a gondola too. I guess everything that like moves around like this is a gondola. Anyway, these little guys will just attack you. And they have a long range, but you can kind of get in between them where the chains are. And you could do damage that way. So that's not too big of a deal. I'm gonna crack that egg, get that Phantomile. And then my brain hatched an idea. It was just like, I'm going to do this. And then I fall into the water. Well, lava. Fire water. Fire water! That's what I do. Anyway, I listen. I kind of struggle with a little bit of the pass here. I think this in Moon Kingdom give me the most struggle. And I don't want to talk about that one. I don't even know what happened there. I don't know what happened there. I don't think there's really anything specific besides what I've just been talking about with these guys. Like I know there's like a specific enemy that drives me nuts later down the line, but until we get to that point, it's not that big of a deal. So I remembered because I wrote it down, but I've been too busy talking about other stuff. I was talking about like my experience as an education major when I was doing the Reciteer stuff. Reciteer. Listen, my mom calls it Reciteer. You're making fun of my mom. Don't make fun of my mom. Is this thing going to come back? Yes, it does. Okay. But I was talking about my experience with education and how like I went to a school and I got to like observe, do some observations for like a school where one of the one of the grades, I think they might have both been third grade or one. No, I think one was fourth grade and then the other one was third grade. But the third graders were in like the advanced class, and then the other one was like in the lower grade, like the lower like standard, if that makes sense. Like they were still fourth graders and they were still like passing their grades, but they were considered to be like struggling compared to like the advanced grades, right? Based off of like earlier testing and stuff like that. They were put in separate groups. So there was like an advanced group, there was like a semi good but kind of struggling at parts group, and then there was like the group that struggled with everything, and they weren't special ed. They weren't special ed. These weren't kids, because they did have like some places for like just specifically kids that had like learning disabilities and stuff like that. These, like, some of them might have been labeled for that kind of thing, but not all of them were. Not all of them were considered special ed. So this, I want to stop right here. This little bastard right here is the one that causes me the most trouble, because I don't know how to deal with him for a while, and I think he kills me like 2 or 3 times. So this is part of the reason why I'm talking about all this stuff right now, because I don't know how to deal with it. And then I just keep getting killed by the fire. Yeah. So I was just letting myself die there. But I did these. So the first one I went to was the class for advanced students. Actually, I'm thinking maybe I did 3 observations there, because I think I did like a standard class too. Like, I'm thinking about it. I think I remember going to 3 different, like this school got. This is. I mentioned that there was like a school that got closed down. This is one of the schools that got closed down. So I don't know. They got it's weird because they got closed down, but then they brought it back as a different course. It takes me a little bit to remember that I need to go and like open it up at a different place. So I go and do the yellow one uh, for this area. So I do eventually figure it out. Don't worry about it. It just takes me a little bit. We go and do the yellow one instead. So, um, but I'm not going to worry about editing because I think it's the later on that I might have to cut, but it's no big deal. Anyway, the first grade, I didn't really know much about like I knew it was a thing. Like I think that was the one that told me that it was a thing, but I didn't really see that much of a difference because like it just seemed like a bunch of regular students. So I'm assuming it was kind of like the middle of the road class. But then when I got to the advanced class, I was kind of impressed because I was like, oh, look at all these kids doing so well. Like I was seeing kids doing stuff that like were like more advanced, right? Like I was seeing kids doing stuff that were like at a much higher grade than what you would expect for like 3rd grade or like 4th grade or whatever. So I was really impressed by that. But then I got to the 4th graders that were supposed to be like the lower grade, and I got kind of disheartened. But anyway, I can't really say anything about that first class because, again, it just kind of felt like a normal class. I don't really have anything good or bad to say about it. It just felt very standard. But for the special group, I noticed that they really tried to encourage and push kids to like succeed. And I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing. There was a lot of students in that class. I don't necessarily think every single student in that class was gifted. Uh, because I'm gonna be honest. When I went to elementary school, there was only 3 kids that were labeled as gifted, and I don't know if the standard like necessarily changed. I accidentally jumped off when I didn't mean to go on that platform, by the way. I meant to go this way. Um, I don't know if the standard had changed, but I know a lot of the people that I knew in elementary school that weren't part of the gifted program then got added to the gifted program later. And I mean, it could also be that like, you know, as they grew up, they became more focused and wanted to get a better education, because that also happens. But um, it's kind of difficult to just gauge on like a few certain things. And this is the point where I got really confused and was trying to figure things out. So I think I just let myself die after figuring out what was going on. But anyway, but I do know that all the kids here were like, they seemed really a lot more interested in the class. They seemed to really enjoy the class and enjoy learning. So I think what was impressive to me was like I was seeing them do some like stuff that was like in algebra. These were like 3rd graders. And these were 3rd graders doing algebra, and it really confused me. Because like I know in my class when I was in 6th grade, we were just then starting like algebra and stuff like that. So I was really confused about like the fact that kids um at that grade point were already studying that. And I was also just very impressed. But like it seemed like everybody in that grade was doing really good. And so I was really impressed. And I thought at the time that maybe this whole thing was going to be really good for kids. Because like clearly the normal students seem to be doing pretty well. The advanced students are doing pretty well. Then I get to the lower grade, right? I get to the 4th graders that are supposed to be struggling with classes and stuff like that. And yeah, they knew. They knew they were in the lower class because apparently all the kids knew. And I had a couple of students even tell me like they tell me about how stupid they were and how they were in the lower class and how they got treated differently because of it. And that really sucked. That was like the first like big uh-oh, right? Like having to hear a kid talk, and like these are like really smart little, well, like smart when it comes to common sense, right? Like I don't necessarily know about their grades. Like their grades have probably lacked a lot. But like they clearly had a lot of sense when it came to like the world around them. Maybe book smarts wasn't maybe book smarts weren't their best feature, but oh my god, they had so much understanding of like the world around them, and it just kind of broke my heart to hear them be like, "Yeah, I got put into the like the bad class." I used to have friends. These people used to be my friends, but then they got put into the other class, and now I can't hang out with them anymore. And I'm just like, God, that really sucks. Like the fact that they did that, and they figured it out so fast. Like I don't think the adults realize how easy it is for kids to figure that stuff out. Because apparently the parents thought it was fine, and it clearly wasn't. It clearly wasn't fine. But another thing that I noticed was that like they definitely didn't seem to get like the same level of like care. And I could argue that it was the teacher. I could argue it was the teacher not giving them the best standard of like lessons and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, it was something. I think there's a cutscene here. Yeah, I'm gonna just stop for a second. I'm just gonna stop for a second and let this finish up. Yeah, I it was definitely eye opening. But we'll get back to that topic in a minute. But the path has been opened, and the high priest will surely be pleased as well. Be happy you have our permission. I mean, I don't think Klonoa can be happy about anything right now. I hate to tell you this, but his grandpa died. His grandpa died, and it was probably his fault because he went on an adventure. Like, I mean, grandpa told us to do it, but like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Either way, Gaddy, Klonoa didn't know Gaddy is his name. Oh dear. He has awakened from a 3,000 year sleep and now seeks revenge. In other words, Mr. Evil himself. There's still time. Yeah, we're going to have to defeat the evil bad guy. The evil, like, Egyptian Black Plague Doctor. We're wimps, remember? See, I love Soleil. I love Soleil so much. Oh, he's so funny. But anyway, we're going to go to the next vision here in a minute. And I'm going to keep hold on that topic for a little bit longer because I know we're about to experience something new. And it only happens for this level, thankfully. Thankfully, it's only this level. But there's a new little quirk, a new little gimmick that we're going to be dealing with here in a minute, involving day and night cycles. So, like there's it's not like a true proper like day and well I guess the way it works is like every I don't know if it's 30 minutes or not 30 minutes 30 seconds or minute. It's very short. It's very short, but every few seconds time will just shift from day to night, and the creatures on the screen will change. It only applies to creatures that are outside. Any creature that's inside will not be affected by the day-night cycle. I originally thought this guy was part of the Moon Kingdom because he has a different like color on, and like he literally looks like he's got moons on his head, but he's the high priest. Like I mean, I guess he's kind of like a mediator between the two, but he's technically part of the sun, like the Sun Temple and the Sun group, because the people on the Moon Kingdom have a different look to them. So we don't need to worry about that, I guess. But it makes me think, like, if there's a moon in the Sun Temple, like, is there like different kinds of priests too, with different kind of like, is there a crescent priest, a waxing, a waning priest? Like, is there different moon cycles, or is he just the singular one? Like, I mean, I guess there's no like priest for the eclipse, so I'm assuming he's the only one. It's mostly just like sun and this singular moon. Does he have any like disciples or anything that has the moon like motif on him? Or is he like the only one that like associates with the moon in this temple? I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little confused. Are there star people too? You know what? I should like technically I guess there is, but I can't really talk about that right now. That's a bit of a spoiler. Anyway, we're going to go ahead to the sanctuary. We got to go beat up Gadius. We're going to go beat up the bad guy. The eclipse gives power to the evil ones. Take advantage of your enemies while there is light. Yeah, I guess it's more like eclipse. It's weird. Listen, they call it eclipse powers, but it's literally just a day-night cycle. Yeah, as time passes, it gets dark and the enemies will get stronger. Be careful, but it doesn't stay permanent, so it's literally just day, night, day, night, day, night. So like right now, everything is just normal looking and everything, but then as time goes on, everything will change and transform into different creatures. See, you can't touch these. These are eclipses. Oh, the creatures themselves are called eclipses. Yeah, I can't touch them. There are some platforms that only pop up during the daytime, but like once they're done, I can kill them, and it's no big deal. But we're gonna have to deal with that. And later on, there's like some purple guys that start floating around and trying to hurt you and do damage, and it's a pain in the butt. But see, these like little moon like platforms and stuff, they don't exist um, outside of the standard game. Anyway, while we're doing that, I'm just going to go back to that first topic I was talking about, and the whole like issues with the kids that again weren't special ed. They were just treated differently because they weren't considered smart enough, successful enough, right? Um, but basically, uh, those kids were treated a little bit differently than everybody else because they were considered dumb. And it wasn't just by like other students, it was also by their teachers. And again, I don't know if it's just a singular teacher issue or if it was just an issue regarding like the way they encourage like better grades for like certain people or not. Like I really don't know. I really don't know. Like I only did one class for each of them, so I can't judge the entire school fully, but I can like be concerned, right? But the issue I had with that was that those kids they were fourth graders, right? These are fourth graders. They're studying multiplication, which the third graders already knew about. The third graders they were already learning about that. They were learning algebra. They were working with fractions and decimals. All right. Third graders. We're already working with fractions and decimals. Okay. But these kids were not. Um, these kids were struggling with multiplication, and they were allowed to use calculators for their tests. And listen, I'm not necessarily against it for like harder, like bigger kinds of grade for like bigger stuff. Like if you're doing a test for like more than more than a singular place, then sure. Like if it's a 12 by 12 times 12, then I understand. Or like 34 by 36, I can understand using it a little bit in later grades, because at that point you should understand the basics. But these kids did not understand the basics. I saw I saw kids using it for 1 times 1. I saw kids using it for 1 times 1, and I got so disappointed. I saw kids who were like using it for like some of the simplest stuff possible. And I think I don't even know if I'm sure about this. I feel like I recall a moment because the way the tests were set up, you could just you could just choose to you could choose to repeat the test over and over until you could get the grade that you wanted, and a lot of kids just utilize that, and that's how it worked for the most part for like everything. I see this little purple guy, he's just there to annoy me. But anyway, we're gonna go here. Uh, but yeah, I do remember like seeing a test and being like, how come how come the kids could just keep repeating it? Because that's what I saw a lot of them do. I saw them like just repeating the test over and over until they got the results that they wanted, and some of them didn't even try to do the math. Changed. They just changed it. They just changed the answers in order to get the answer that they were looking for. Anyway, I got so disappointed by all that. And again, I can't really say if it's necessarily a school thing or if if it's like the teacher. But it made me question a lot of the things like with that school, because if it's one teacher doing that, then yeah, that's definitely a problem, and then like the kids should have been encouraged more. But if it's like if this was other classes, like if this like are how do I explain it? Are the gifted kids also being encouraged in the same way? Like if a gifted kid is struggling, are they just going to be told to use the calculator too? Are people going to like guilt trip them into not being smart enough, or like lower their like send them to a lower grade because they're not considered smart enough? And then have them get treated differently by like their friends because they're not in the same grade as them anymore because they didn't match up? Like I had so many issues after that class. I had so many issues with that, and like like those kids really broke my heart. And they were some of the sweetest little things too. I don't know why I jumped off of that platform, but I think I just wanted to grab like an extra character, but it's fine. But anyway, that was my experiences there. I think I met another kid because I had to go observe at the middle school too, which that also closed. Listen, I've dealt with a lot of close kids, a lot of close schools. A lot of schools closed after I went to high school, after I graduated. Like it was a thing. After I graduated college, like me leaving education major ended up being like the best damn thing for me. But anyway, I met a kid from the same school, and he was only getting away with like grades and stuff because he was a football player. And listen, if you're not from like the United States, this is probably baffling to you, but like you have no idea how big sports are in like the US. Like if you've never seen like sports in the US, like it's so huge. Like we put more focus on that than like everything else. Like I remember in high school, we it wasn't even our school. It was like the University of Kentucky, right? Got they got approved to be like I was trying to figure this out. It took me a little bit, but I finally did it. But the University of Kentucky during my last year of school got to semifinals, just the semifinals for basketball that year. And Kentucky's really big in basketball. Like we love football too. There's a lot of people that love football, but basketball has a very special and near and dear place in like this area. Like basketball is super huge around here. But it wasn't even our school. It wasn't anything that we accomplished. And we got a week off to go enjoy that. And it only happened like a single day. There was only a single day for the event because we lost in like the semifinals. We lost in the semifinals. So we didn't even get to the finals. We lost in the first match. So that was fun. that was a thing. Meanwhile, our academic team got to like I think the finals that year. Actually, the finals. We got a day off for like the students to go. Anyway, school is weird. But yeah, this kid in middle school was on the football team, and he was apparently considered like one of the best football. I don't know. Like people said he was really good at football, but like I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot for like most football players around like school and stuff and how good they are. But he couldn't multiply by 0 without a calculator. Anyway, American education at its finest, right? Anyway, I don't necessarily blame the teachers. It's just there's a lot. It's a lot. There's so much that goes on, and it makes it difficult. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this. Is this just the day that I just complain about education? just school, just education in general. Anyway, we're going to do some revenge. Apparently, that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. This is all what it's about. Revenge. Fools just like you imprisoned me in darkness. Fools with lives. Oh my god, lives? I don't have a life. Full of foolish dreams. Oh, well, I mean, I like to have dreams, I guess. Anyway, he's going to plunge us into a sea of nightmares. I already have those, thank you. I don't need those. The diva is his. Was she there the whole time? Why was... Is there just nothing in your cloak? Just a void of nothingness? He's just hands, a cape, and a mask. And also, sexy black lips, apparently. Anyway, we're going to be fighting Joka. He's finally going to face off against it. Face off against us. He can't live with himself if he can't beat us here. So, I mean, he's basically the same as every other boss here, ain't he? I can't even say anything. He's about the same as every other boss. He's a little bit different because he actually uses the power of like the 2D, 3D space. 2.5D, 2.5D. I guess that's what it's called. But either way, he actually moves around in more than one direction. So what we got to do is we got to hit him while also avoiding his arms. He has 2 phases. Can you believe that? Somebody with more than one phase. Yeah, if you hit the arms, you don't get nothing. But he's just going to run around here. And we just got to try and hit him. It's better to like hit him when he's closer to you. As opposed to, or at least kind of somewhere in the center. Because he will just like get flopped back. But after I think of 3 hits, he will transform. And he'll actually do something a little bit different. So let's just see if we can't take care of that. Like I'm only going to like explain like the first run around. Here he goes. Okay, so it was only 2 hits, but he does his little bow, and then he transforms into a turtle. I'm not kidding. It's literally a turtle. Yeah, I guess is this his true form? I don't know. Anyway, do you remember in the Super Mario Sunshine you had to like you had to ground pound like the casino floor and get it all the same color? This is kind of like that, except you don't have to use the ground pound, you just gotta tap them. And you gotta tap them all to make the same color. Anyway, I think I do die to this boss because I couldn't figure out for the first time how to like dodge that little slap attack. Like it ended up being easy, I just wasn't thinking because I was too focused on like trying to clear the green. So there is going to be one death I think here. Yeah, it's because of that. It's because of that. So that's what happens. Okay, so, and it literally gives you a tip. It gives you 2 tips. So like if you're really messing up, it tells you. So yeah, this is his eclipse form. This is his eclipse form, which, yeah, he has the day-night cycle too, I guess. I didn't even think of that when I was playing. I was just like, oh, second form, huh? Neat. Okay. Anyway. I don't think education is necessarily evil. I don't think everybody that's in like education is bad, but I definitely do see that like certain people are treated differently compared to others. Like I was a gifted student. I got treated pretty well because probably because I was gifted. Like I was one of the good kids, right? And I didn't cause much trouble because I was smart enough to take care of myself. So I was treated better. I wasn't considered a problem child. But like if you're a kid who generally wants to learn but you're struggling, you're probably going to have a lot more issues than I am. At the same time, listen, I talked about how good and helpful that gifting class was and how I was impressed by it. And part of it was because of my experience because I mentioned I was in a gifted class and like my gifted stuff was only 3 kids. There was only 3 kids when I went to school that were in gifted, and then eventually there was more that got added to it. And again, I don't know if the standard changed or if it's just like eventually eventually people just started like studying more or something like that. I don't really understand it. Because it happens like obviously if you have like a lot of issues when you're younger or like maybe you don't think it's a big deal when you're younger and then later on you decide you want to straighten up or something like that. It happens. Like I've also seen kids that were like super successful in school like early on and then they start dropping grades. Listen, I think I was one of them. Like I didn't drop too badly, but there was like a certain point when I went into high school where I was just like I don't think I care about my grades anymore because like I didn't feel like I was challenged enough and I didn't feel like there was really a point to any of it. So like grades are weird. Like I'm kind of worried that I'm gonna like offend somebody by some of the things I'm saying. That's kind of why I'm backtracking, and I need to calm down. Anyway, but when I went to school, there was only 3. It was me and two other guys, and I remember like we didn't really get a proper like it wasn't like we were separated from the rest of the class. Basically, we would have like a free period every so often where we would hang out with like the teacher that was specialized in gifted students and he would teach us like more advanced stuff. But it also meant that I skipped a lot of the stuff that were considered basic because it was assumed that I would be smart enough to figure it out. Anyway, I think that's kind of part of where my math problems came from. Anyway, we beat Joka. I think that's where part of my math problems came from. Is because I managed to skip out on the fractions and decimals when I was really young, because I was in the gifted program. So when everybody else was learning it, I was in gifted learning about like other things and doing other kinds of studies. So when it came time to learn about it, I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I had to ask a teacher for help. And by God, let me tell you something. Being a gifted student and having to ask for help is one of the worst things that you could have to deal with. like I remember like my teacher looking at me because I didn't understand the problem. They were like, "I thought you were the smart one. I thought you were in the gifted class. Don't you know how to do this?" And I never asked a question again after that. I was just like, you know what? If I fail, I'm going to fail on my own. I'm never going to ask a person a problem. I'm never going to ask a person a question again because I'm not dealing with this. Like, like apparently, if you're gifted, you're not allowed to ask questions. Like it's like people in special ed or like lower grade classes that aren't expected to do well are just like treated as if somebody else is going to take care of them or they're never going to be good enough. And then gifted classes are like, well, you have to be perfect at everything. Like two different problems, two different like situations. I feel like, but like they're both treated like shit either way. Anyway, I I think I'm done rambling now. Oh, you know what? I can talk about this. Listen, this is more of a funny thing. Um, One of the things I realized, high schoolers act more like children. Listen, I had to go to like the middle school, the high school, and the elementary. Most of my observations came from elementary because that was what my focus was on. But I had to go to the high school and the middle school. Um, I had to go at least once for like a full week. And let me tell you, those elementary school kids acted way better than the high schoolers ever did. And I didn't realize how well behaved they were compared to like they still had some emotional issues, but like they knew they were having problems, and they would come up to me or one of the teachers, and they'd be like, "I'm feeling sad." I don't know why I'm feeling sad, but I feel dumb, and I feel upset, and my tummy hurts, or like they're a lot more honest, right? Kids are a lot more honest. They're just like, my tummy hurts, or uh, Bobby Bobby went and poked me, or something like that, and I don't like being poked, or I don't feel comfortable, or something like that. You know? They're a lot more honest with their feelings and stuff like that. And then boy, kids, oh, kids have a lot of feelings. Kids have a lot of feelings, and they're not afraid to be honest with them. Meanwhile, high schoolers just love to push buttons. They love to challenge. They love to challenge, which it was fun. It was fun being in those classes, but man, they love to challenge. They love to challenge authority. Listen, I don't even know if it's challenging authority. I just like I've always heard that that was what they were called, that they did, but I don't know if I could call it authority. It's more just challenging like the status quo. They just want to see what they can do to like stand out in the world. They want to be unique. They want to be like more more independent and special. They need to find their place in the world, and they don't like it when other people tell them what to do. And they weren't horrible. They weren't horrible. Thankfully, the class I went to was very nice, but they definitely had a lot of questions. And I mean, like, listen, if you've ever been in a high school, you know some of the questions that come out of their mouths. A lot of them are questions that most teachers aren't allowed to talk about anymore. Anyway, we're gonna put a stop to Gaddius. We're gonna put a stop to Gaddius. We're gonna beat his butt. And the Moon Kingdom doesn't have a lot of different. They don't have anything special here. There's no like special bonuses. There's these crystals you gotta break in order to gain access to certain doors. But there's no new gimmicks that I can think of. There's more time challenges. Like, I think we've only dealt with like one timed door before this with the like buttons, and now we're going to deal with them again. There is an issue where it's the platforming, because a lot of things are covered now with these little guys. These, I think they're called moo-moos. Listen, they're very cute, but like everything that you're going to deal with now has moo-moos attached to them, or is requiring like some very specific platform jumping. And so, yeah, you notice how a lot of these things can like just straight up kill you. It's just, you're going to have a lot of pain here. You're going to have a lot of pain here. Just so much pain here. I die a lot in this stage. I think I die a lot in the next stage too, but I think this stage ends up hurting me. I don't know if there's like one stage we have to do a lot of jumps at a specific, like a specific way, and I struggle with it, man. I can't remember. Either way, we'll get there when we get there. I'm struggling to even get on these platforms and like hit these things. Like, it's so annoying. Anyway, we got that one, and then these crystals break, and then the door like opens because of that. So anyway, and there's like four. There's four different doors with four different colors, and it does kind of feel like a labyrinth. I'm not worried about collecting everything except the Phantomilions. That's the only thing that matters, and that was Seribot again. So don't worry. Listen, I have Seribot set up, and it's supposed to block off only like people that spam and stuff like that. But I got like a whole bunch of spam, but it didn't show me anything. So I don't know. Like I hope nobody's going into chat and trying to talk to me, and then it ends up like just calling everybody spam regardless. So cuz I know Twitch has been changing a lot of stuff, and like I would hate for like somebody just random, not even trying to do anything wrong, accidentally getting banned for not doing anything wrong. But I'm not sure. I really don't know. Anyway, you can go ahead and break all these things. You can also use the platform to just go straight up if you want to ignore everything. But I wanted to get a few things. We got a lot of lives, so I'm not too worried. But um, I was talking about the high school and elementary, but I didn't really talk about the what are they called? The middle schoolers. I didn't really have much of a. They're kind of in the middle, right? Besides that one kid that was like struggling with like basic mathematics, I didn't really have much of an issue there. And again, I think part of it's also because they're like, oh, new person, we gotta behave. And they probably got told by their teachers to behave too. Uh, so so there's a lot that goes on. So like, it's a lot different when I'm actually there for like a long period of time and stuff, right? Like like when you're on your best behavior, you're probably gonna act a lot different. Um, but I didn't have that many issues with like the middle schoolers. I don't really have anything special to say besides that one middle schooler that kind of like I was just like okay. But anyway, the only thing I could really like it did feel a lot different seeing those middle schoolers compared to my middle school. Does that make sense? Cause when I went to middle school was like the worst place. Like like I the only thing that was worse than middle school for me was like kindergarten. Um, like my first year of school ever was like the worst, but for various reasons. Anyway, I'm about to die. Yep, yep, okay. But yeah, my first year of my first year of middle school. Well, I mean my first 2 years, my only 2 years. What am I thinking? I'm I I need to learn to slow down. I need to slow down, collect the thoughts before I say anything. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna talk now. Now whether collecting those thoughts actually do anything, I don't know, but we'll see. But I was a middle school student and I did not have a good time there. Uh, I remember a lot of kids in middle school just really did not give a single frick about anything. Just not a single frick about anything. And I I got bullied. Let's be honest. I just got bullied a lot. Like it got better after high school. Listen, I'm just trying to think of like stuff, and I don't like thinking. But I did struggle a lot in middle school. I don't really want to talk about like too detailed, right? But I did struggle a lot in middle school. I think most people have like a struggle in at least one grade, and for me it was like middle school, and kindergarten. I don't want to talk about that one. That was just a stressful year. I was a very dumb kid, and very sheltered, and I dealt with a lot of issues because of it. Uh, but yeah, yeah. I don't like being an education major and like seeing all this stuff. You think I'd be like really anti like public education and stuff like that. I'm not, but I do. Like you could tell that there's a problem and still understand that like it's needed. You can see that a system is flawed and still understand that it's needed because it's the same with like other services, right? Like, why do we need public education? It's probably the same reason why we need soup kitchens or like mental health services or literally anything that provides some sort of like social thing for anybody or any single group, right? Because somebody out there is going to need it someday. That is like the one and only reason that it exists. And like, sure, there are probably people out there that could teach kids on their own or find like a homeroom teacher or something that specializes in it and does pretty well. Because like I have met people that have like homeschooled their kids and done pretty well and successful with that. I've also seen kids that have like I've had classmates that have just dropped out of school and they have found success. I died again. Anyway, I've seen kids from my school that just dropped out and then they just went on and got their degree online and then went to college and became very successful, because that is a thing you could do. You could totally do that. Um, if you're not enjoying the school environment, you could drop out and just focus on getting your GED like online instead. That way you don't have to deal with the high school environment. You could just focus on learning on your own, and it's a completely valid way of doing things. Now whether now I don't know if that will really impact, say, like your college options. That might be a concern. But if you're not worried about like college options, or if you're more focused on just getting any, like if you're not worried about getting like an expensive college, then absolutely. Absolutely it's fine. I'm trying to get that blue thing, but I after a certain point I just gave up on it. But you might notice the platforms are getting a little bit smaller, and some of these platforms are like falling underneath me, and I'm falling. Yeah, this is going to keep up. I guess this is like the only gimmick. Like there's all sorts of ways to like handle like education. Anyway, I'm trying to think of something that isn't education related, because I feel like I've just done nothing but talk about education. But like, I can't really talk about private schools. Listen, there is a private school in my area. Technically we got two. We technically got two, and like our school, the school I went to hates one of them, and then the other one's just like the Christian school that like nobody really cares about, and most people that go to it don't end up being Christians. So anyway, because I don't know, that's a thing, ain't it? That's a thing, ain't it? You go to a Christian school and then you probably don't end up becoming Christian yourself. You end up leaving the church, but that's a thing, apparently. Anyway, it's kind of weird. But I know a couple of students that went to the private school, and the way a lot of private schools are set up might be different than ours. So I don't really know. I can't really say because it's the only one I know. But I know we had a. Oh, is that a heartbeat? I don't know if you can hear it. Hang on. That sounds like a heartbeat. Yeah, that's a big old heartbeat. Spooky. But yeah, public school here. Um, I don't know if you could really like a private school. You know what? I think I'll save the private school one for next time, because we've already been like near an hour. Let me think. I mean, I got about 8 minutes before the hour's up. Um, I the private school I know about here is really anti like newcomer, if that makes sense. Like if you weren't literally just like raised in the school from like the moment that you start school, like if you don't start like kindergarten or pre-K or whatever in that school and stay in that school the entire time, it is very difficult to like blend in with that school, because I know a few of my classmates um, went and joined that school later on, and they had a rough time with it, and they had to come back because they just got bullied a lot for being like not one of the other people. Anyway, Prince. Who's a prince? What do you mean prince? Huh? I like that Klonoa got so freaked out. Mother. Huh? Klonoa was so shocked. She's like, "What do you mean that's your mother? What do you mean you're the prince? You two don't look a thing alike. You look like one of the jewels on her like necklace thing. How are you their mother? How is this your mother? You two don't look alike." Remember how I mentioned that there might have been star people? Notice how there's a star on his head? I as soon as I made the joke, as soon as I was asking the question, I noticed the star on his head. Yeah. Yeah, about that. About that star. He's the prince of the Moon Kingdom. Whoopsie. He's not actually a ring spirit. It doesn't really explain what a ring spirit is, by the way. It just says, oh, I'm a ring spirit. But, you know, you can't say anything about that right now. But he promises to tell me everything later. But you know what? We're going to believe him because he's our best friend. He's our best friend, right? We got to believe him. Best friends do everything together. We've been together through thick and thin. Best friends do everything. Nothing ever goes wrong between friends, right? Nothing. Best friends till the end. Okay. Oh yeah, did you I don't know if I actually talked about it because I was too busy laughing at Grandpa and his pipe that was still sticking out of his mouth. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Every time I see that image, I start giggling again. But you might have noticed the part where Grandpa mentioned that their time together was short between him and Klonoa. I'm sure he's just talking about the fact that Klonoa is a young boy and that he didn't get to spend enough time with him. Because like that definitely doesn't isn't foreshadowing something. That definitely isn't foreshadowing something. I'm definitely not foreshadowing something by bringing that back. Anyway, we're gonna come back to that later. We're gonna come back to that later. Honestly, it probably wasn't even like intentional foreshadowing, but it is kind of like I've played it this enough. Also, I hate this level because as soon as one starts spawning in, all the others start spawning in, and you gotta jump around them, and you also gotta use them to pop other things. And yeah, I I hate this section. I hate this so much. Like, look at that! Look at that! I just got knocked off for nothing. Look at that! I'm so mad. I'm so mad. This isn't the only time that you have to do this either. Like, there's several sections that you have to do this, and I'm just trying to carefully try to figure out how to do all this nonsense. This nonsense. I figured out I could jump out through the jump past the first one. Anyway, we got a section where we're going to see these kinds of rooms a lot. We're going to see these kinds of rooms a lot. And some of them are going to have like timed like watches and stuff like that in this section. I thought it was the other section that had these, but I guess it's this one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Listen, there is something in the Moon Kingdom where we have to deal with this. I'm guessing it's this one. How am I even supposed to get past this? Like, I get it over here, but how do I do it from the top? Listen, I can't even do it from over there, so how am I supposed to... I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. At least it gives me heals, so like, even it knows. Even it knows. We got cutter enemies now. Hey, do you remember Kirby? Do you remember Kirby and its cutter enemies? Do you like Kirby and its cutter enemies? Yeah, that's a good time, ain't it? We love Kirby and its cutter enemies. Anyway, we gotta go, like, pop that thing. And it takes me a few minutes to realize I have to break it from a different place. So. Oh my god, brain. Yeah, I was definitely fizzing out after this. after several hours of this, I was definitely just like brain dead. Okay. But anyway. Um but yeah, there was like a very big prestige for like the school. If you went to the private school, you really had to be there like the entire time, or at least really close to early. And like they every time I hear about it, I often think about like those movies that are like based off of America, where like there's a clique or something going on, And I'm just like, is this what they were referencing? Because like my school didn't really have clicks. My school didn't really have clicks. I don't remember a proper clique in my school. Like, I mean, there were some people that, like, hung out with each other more, sure. But I don't remember cliques that much. So I'm wondering if a lot of those schools that they're basing it off of are more, like, private schools. Like, again, I live in a poor, like, country town and stuff like that. So maybe it's a little bit varied because of that. Like, my experience is going to be different than, like, a place in, like, the city or something like that. Or even, like, a proper, like, suburban area. So, I'm fully aware that, like, my experiences might be different, but I'm just like, are clicks really that big of a deal in, like, other areas? I'm not sure. But either way, I'm struggling with this puzzle because it's very finicky. It's very finicky. Like, you have a very short time to actually pop all of these and, like, get everything at one time. And I'm just trying to time it out properly. There we go. There we go. That took too long. This won't be the only time that I struggle. Like, listen, I can't really complain about this too much, but I am going to pause it right here. So, because I'm realizing how far we've gone, and like I don't want to I kind of don't want to skip in the middle of a section, but we're getting close to the end, so I'd rather save most of the end parts at the end. So, we're going to cut right here. I did kind of blather on a little bit too, but if you're enjoying the video, hit like, subscribe, and comment if you want on YouTube. That helps me out. So does following me on Twitch. I stream there every weekday, every other weekday. So, like, if I'm streaming one week, I probably won't be streaming the next. I do keep a schedule up in the About section, like in the lower section. It's usually in the front. So, like, if I am missing a week, you'll find out which days I'm coming back. And all of that is very helpful if you can, like, follow me on there. I'm usually streaming on at 12 p.m. Easter time, and we do at least I do at least like 3-4 hours if I can. Kind of depends on if there's other things, but I usually do about 3 or 4 hours, sometimes more. But until then, I'll see you all again. Bye bye. Bye bye.